What's up, guys and gals? My name is Eclepid. John here, back with Matt,
Hey there.
and we're ready to have some more fun after doing all of the Seven Sisters.
That's that's honestly one of the funniest things to come out of this playthrough so far. That line is just beautiful.
We did them all in the bathroom stall.
Oh, it's perfect. All right.
Nothing like that
Off
at
we
my high
go.
school actually happened, though.
Really?
No, nothing like
Oh,
that
okay.
happens. In the stairwell, though, but none. Don't ask. Don't ask.
Yeah, I was gonna tell a story, but it might not be very appropriate.
Okay, then let's save the
So instead,
let's save that for later.
yeah. All right. Hey, that's mine.
やだやだ私が食べるのアスモアスモパースレビアお姉様こっちこっち
I wonder where they swiped it from. They were fighting over a donut or something, playing really, really loudly.
こらーエンジェ様は読書をなさってるのよ。そう言ってるサタンが一番うるさいのよ。沈黙なさい。この愚昧が。ルシファーお姉様の方がうるさいです。文句が終わり
By now, I was used to the fights between the eldest and the third eldest sister. A bit funny how they're both a little hesitant even though they're so quick to anger. They might be surprisingly similar.
賑やかにしていろとの仰せでしたが、これではさすがに少しボリュームを下げさせますか。
気にしないで騒いでてくれていいわ。教室の黄色い笑い声より100倍心地よいもの。
エンジェ様早く次のページエンジェ様は読むのが遅い
マモンは読書が好きなの？地味なことが一番苦手そうに見えるのにね。
マモンが司るのは強欲、知識欲にもそれは通じます。ただし独占したがるので、本を与えると人に読ませまいと読書後に焼いてしまうこともあるのでご注意を。
私は誰も知らないことを私だけが知っているのが好き。誰もできないことを私だけができるのが好き。だから勉強は好き。で、私だけが誰も知らない英知を独り占めしたいから。
As Mammon had said that, her eyes sparkling, she stared transfixed at the open page, reading through it again. You could see the greed that made her even more intent than me on devouring that page. As you can see, my magical power was now much stronger compared to the first day I summoned them. I was now at the point where I could summon all of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory at once and still calmly read a book like this. This place, although I couldn't recall where it was a quiet and calm street-side bench. The reason that I couldn't remember the location of this place was that at the time I visited it, I was very young. Still, I remember the day we'd walked here, and how much fun it was. Mom, Dad, and even Oni-chan had been there. It was a memory of a very rare and very happy day when all the family had actually been together. The people walking by every once in a while weren't noticing me. They were just pleasantly ignoring me and passing by as normal. I wasn't even the slightest bit embarrassed by the Seven Sisters' shameless outfits, because it wasn't like they were actually being seen by anyone. In fact, I'd gotten pretty used to them. Just so long as they didn't make me wear one.
What's it called when you hear voices? The illness, like is that schizophrenia? No, it's not.
I think it's
is?
schizophrenia.
It's schizophrenia.
Mhm.
Do you think they're just is this drawing the line between I feel like this is walking the line between having imaginary friends versus schizophrenia. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, imaginary friends is like a kid childhood thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like in high school, you don't have imaginary friends, so this might be kind of borderline.
Schizophrenia, borderline
Yeah.
schizophrenia. Yeah.
Or maybe like multiple personality disorder or something.
Jeez.
I was sitting on a stylish bench, memorizing a timeline for world history. In an academy system where everything is based on collective responsibility, there's no tolerance for dunces. That's teaching history wrong, by the way. History is not timelines. History is context. And perspective. Anyway. Rant over. It seemed that I was lowering the average grade for the class considerably. According to those extremely intellectual girls, if I alone improved my grade, the average would rise drastically. They had been kind enough to show me with a graph drawn with colorful pens on a B4 sheet of drawing paper.
Jeez.
That's a dick move. Just thinking of the effort it must have taken to draw that was nauseating. But I'd already spat out all of those complaints. I'd already used those girls to vent all my furious anger and sadness. The 7 sisters were sometimes outraged, sometimes compassionate, and sometimes shared in my sorrows. I was truly happy to have friends with whom I could share those emotions. It's said that they were originally furniture that existed to carry out Beatrice's cruel, sacrificial ritual. If that sickening occult message bottle was to be believed, it seemed that several among them even attacked my family. But I didn't believe that, and it would be pointless to question them about it. They're furniture, so all they do is respond to their master's requests. Even if they really had attacked my family, I couldn't hate them. The one I really hated was the Golden Witch Beatrice. Or else, the one at the very center of Rokenjima Gate, Aunt Ava.
Frickin' Rokenjima Gate.
Oh, that's so bad.
エンジ様早く次のページ。
あ、ごめん。疲れたわ。少し休憩させて。エン
ジ様休憩だって。遊ぼう遊ぼう。エンジ様遊ぼう。
When they noticed that I had interrupted my studying, the most energetic youngest sisters gathered around me. That wasn't all. Hey! Even Maria One-chan and Sakataro showed themselves. They had probably been very close by, but they must have hid themselves so that they didn't interrupt my studying.
うりゅうエンジお勉強どう？お勉強どう？やーサク太郎元気？ちょっと私にもモフモフさせて。
Fluffle? Is that a word?
They're trying to get at his ears.
早い者勝ちだっていつも言ってるでしょ。あー、かわいいかわいい。
うきゅー潰れちゃうよ。うりゅう。
Oh, one of the commenters said we were supposed to read
7姉妹が揃ってる時に現れたのが運の尽きだ。
the character profiles. They said there were well, I remember they said one of the character profiles or a few of the character profiles were interesting for the witch side, I think.
Oh, okay.
They said definitely read Kinzo's. Kinzo's name as a mage is Goldsmith. Do you remember that? Do you remember hearing about Goldsmith?
No.
In chapter 1, Battler said, it just jokingly said it would be cool if Kinzo made them call him Goldsmith.
Huh.
Name,
Interesting.
and his name as a mage is Goldsmith. His skills as a summoner are legendary for the modern age. In terms of summoning ability, where there are many times where he surpasses even Beatrice. However, he is very mismatched, and while he does excel in some areas, he is fatally lacking as a mage in others. He cannot even perform the trifling magic to reheat a cup of tea, yet he can summon demons capable of using magic to boil the oceans. His system of magic is his own, and its origins in mathematical miracles. Beatrice later reworked her own system of magic based on this. And Sakataro's beloved furniture of Lady Maria, Witch of Mariage Sorcière. His existence as Lady Maria's pure white heart itself. He is an irreplaceable being to her and could even be said to be another Lady Maria. He holds a decoration of as a diplomat, and all witches, weapons, and furniture in the Alliance, and even demons and divine spirits in contract with the Alliance are not permitted to take aim at him. Wait, we already read that. Oops. I just reread that. Whatever. Anyways.
That's okay. Alright, let's keep moving.
おとなしくモフモフされてもらおう。
いっつもこんなにしてしまって。愚昧な姉と妹どもが申し訳ありません。
サク太郎もみんなに会えて喜んでるよ。どうエンジェ、お勉強の調子は。
ありがとう。まあそこそこには。ご丁寧にも他のクラスで先にあった小テストのプリントが回してもらえたの。麗しい連帯感に涙が出るわ。とりあえず年表を頭に入れるだけでもまあ多少はマシかしら。
ウリュウ、エンジェお勉強偉い。いっぱい点数取れるよ、ウリュウ。お疲れ様。マリア、お勉強は全然ダメだったから、ちゃんと勉強すれば点数が取れるエンジェが羨ましい。
ご冗談を。英語、ラテン語、オカルトの知識、そんなのを丸暗記できてるお姉ちゃんの方がよっぽどすごいわ。
マリアは魔法のお勉強は何でも覚えられるけど、つまんないお勉強は何も覚えだからテストでも何も役に立たない。
確かにオカルトの知識はどうかと思うけど、英語なんかは成績に結びつくんじゃない？
小学校1年生の時、国語のテストで鉄砲のイラストの脇に四角が4マスあって、そこに名前を書きなさいって問題があった。
That's a weird question. What?
Huh?
ライフルって書いたら罰だった。
What? Wait. Picture of a gun in 4 squares. Oh, I guess
And it said,
a gun is probably 4 characters in hiragana, which is the Japanese. What's the Japanese word for gun? Let's see. Japanese word for gun. Word for gun is. I don't know. It's buki, maybe.
Buki.
No, that's a physical weapon or weaponized object or ordnance. I feel like something got lost in translation here. But I think the thing the reason why she got it marked wrong was she wrote it in katakana, which is used for borrowed words from other languages. She wrote the actual spelling for rifle rather than the Japanese word for gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So there's like 4 different ways to write Japanese, right? Or
Well, there's
uses.
katakana, which is usually used for like emphasis or sometimes writing people's names, but usually like katakana is the phonetical way of saying words that are taken from other languages. Like Japanese language borrows a lot of words from other languages, and words that are taken directly from other languages use katakana to spell. Hiragana is used for simpler words and like endings to words, and hiragana is usually interspersed with kanji, which are the traditional Chinese characters adapted by the Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow. You know a lot about that. That's awesome.
どうして？合ってるじゃない。
鉄砲が正解だって。
Teppo.
カタカナは小学1年生では習わないからダメだと言われた。
Okay. Yeah. That's the word.
Okay. Gotcha.
マリアはよくわからないから、その日以来テストでは全てひらがなで書くようにしたよ。でもなぜかママには怒られる。先生にも怒られる。
お姉ちゃんは多分生まれる国を間違えたわ。
ならマリア、魔女の国に生まれて魔法学校に入りたかった。そうしたらもっともっと素敵な魔法の友達がいっぱいいたかもね。うりゅう。でも別に今は何も気にしてないよ。だって魔法はいっぱい使えるし、魔法のお友達もたくさんいる。マリアにはサク太郎がいれば十分。僕だけじゃないよ。サクスケもサク吉も動物の音楽隊もアザラシの下田くんもウサギのサナエさんも小豚のピゴーくんも他にもいっぱい。
Incredible. One-chan's friends just keep increasing in number. Every time I ask, the list of her friends' names grows longer. But there's no doubt that Sakataro is her best friend. I'm a little jealous of her for having such a close friend.
どう？七姉妹は仲良くやれてる？
本当に賑やかな姉妹たちよ。たまに物騒なことを言い出すけど、悪くないわ。本当はサクタロみたいな可愛い子が良かったんだけど。
もっと私の原初の魔法を学んだなら、きっとエンジェの好みの友達を生み出せるようにもなるよ。今のエンジェに想像はまだちょっと難しいね。
想像と召喚は違う。そして反言もまた違う。
やっぱり一番の願いは家族を蘇らせること？
うん。よりしろは持ってるよ。これ。
そうだね。その髪飾りならいつかきっとバトラーを呼び出す鍵になるよ。あとはエンジェの修行次第だね。
それがいつまでかかるのかわからないのが泣けるけれども。
ウリュウ、辛くてもしっかり。エンジェが諦めなければ絶対にいつか叶うよ。
絶対に叶うという保証を誰かがくれたなら、きっと心も休まるでしょうにね。
ウリュウ、なら僕が保証する。エンジェはいつかきっと必ず願いを叶えられるよ。
ありがとう。気休めでも嬉しいわ。
気休めじゃないよ、ウリュウ。ダメだよエンジェ。そういう感情は半魔法の毒素になるよ。夢は必ず叶うって気持ちが一番よく芽吹く魔力の種なんだよ。
I would be way too cynical for this. I think.
Me too.
そうね。ごめんなさい、お師匠様。
エンジェ様は少し強欲さが足りないのよ。欲しいもののためにはどこまでも。手に入れるまで絶対に諦めないという根性が足りない。ウリュウ、そんなことないよ。エンジェは頑張ってるよ。
ありがとう、サク太郎、マモン。泣き言なんて何の足しにもならないもんね。私にはただ頑張るしか道はないのよ。努力するわ。歯を食いしばってね。そして必ず夢を叶えるわ。絶対に。
ウリュウ、エンジェ偉いよ。頑張ろう。僕もマモンも応援する。ええ、応援します。主が強欲であればあるほど私たちの価値も上がるというもの。それよりエンジェ様、せっかく10人も集まったんだし、みんなでしりとりでもして遊ぼうって提案。負けたら罰ゲーム。
Should we check that out?
Sure.
Shiritori?
Yeah.
Do you want to do
It's...
it or you?
Oh, it's... Did you... Yeah, cool. We can read this, but it's a word game, a Japanese word game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, oh, you can read it. There you go.
Shiritori is a Japanese word game. Players take in turns to say words, and each word must begin with the last Japanese character of the previous word, forming a chain. Oh, so it's like, what's that game? That we play, you know, the one where you have to, like, say a word using the same letter,
Yes.
and then go down the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
Only nouns are allowed, and accidentally saying a word that ends with the character N loses you the game because no Japanese word begins with N. A word like ninja, for example, begins with N, not N. The exact rules for what is allowed and what exactly constitutes the last character often vary and need clarification. Okay.
私に耳をかじらせて。
もうあんたの頭には食欲以外ないの？グマイどもの愚かな提案をお許しください。そろそろ勉強に戻られなくても大丈夫ですか？
やだ。ずっとお勉強終わるの待ってたのに遊んでもらえないなんてやだ。
悪くない提案と思います。たまには遊ぶのも頭の良い柔軟になるかと。
ベルフェが司るのはタイダだっけ？もっともらしいことを言ってるけど、うまいことを言ってるわね。
失礼しました。エンジェ様は勤勉でおられる。
エンジさえ良ければ私もみんなと遊びたいな。みんなでワイワイ、きっと楽しい。風流、エンジェエンジェ、遊ぼう遊ぼう。みんなでしりとりをやろう。
You know what, man? It's kind of hard to imagine that this is the same VN where an entire family of people and their servants were horribly murdered multiple times.
You know, you bring up a pretty good point.
We're at such like a weird point in the story, I feel like. But this always happens where they give us these like nice kind of playful moments and then they tear it away from us.
Oh yeah, you can be sure depression's coming soon.
Just don't know when.
ではサクタロのウリュウからスタートでこの場合何からになるの？
You.
You?
You.
ウリュウから？
You.
なんだろうね。やっぱりYou?
No.
こんなおかしな語尾の単語が出てくるなんてめったにないし。
じゃあ私が一番。
Oh, I guess they're starting with
リュウから
you.
行くね。時計のネジのリューズ。
Watch stem?
I have no idea what that means.
Like the hand on a watch?
I have no idea what that means. What is a watch stem?
I don't know. Someone in the comments help a brother out.
Please.
リュウトの方が素敵。
なんだかさっきから難しいのばっかりね。というか
Zuardo.
順番どうなってるの？
Zawardo.
Zuardo.
Is that a JoJo's reference?
It's a motherfucking JoJo's reference.
Of course.
ウリュウ、誰でもいいと思うよ。思いついた人順でいいよ。何それ、面白いね。いっぱい言えた人が勝ち？早口しりとりだね。じゃあ私行くね。ズッキーニ、ニンニク炒め、メカブのパスタ。どれも美味しそう。3つもいっちゃった。
ベルゼ3点獲得。接続詞はありなのか？
のがありになったら何でもありになっちゃうわ。最後のはダメよ。1点減点。目からよ。
じゃあマリアね。メレンゲ。ゲ？うりゅう。
下水道埋め立て地地下室。ざっとこんな感じ？お姉様、なんだか品のない単語ばっ
Reclaimed
か
land
り。
basement. Huh.
何よ。じゃあ品のいい単語で続けてみなさいよ。とにかく私3点ね。
You know what's in the
次
basement?
はつよ。つ。
Grisha Jaeger's doing something weird in the basement. That's what's in the basement. I don't know what it is, but
Perhaps incinerating Kinzo?
oh yeah, that basement. The boiler.
The boiler room.
What's the Japanese word for cremation?
I have no idea.
こんな変なしりとり初めて。面白い。ウリュウ。全然わかんないけど面白い。ウリュウ。
I'd played normal Shiritori before, but this is kind of weird Shiritori was a new experience for me. The 7 sisters, who would be lively enough just on their own, Maria One-chan, Sakataro, and me. I was now surrounded by friends that were just so fun. The courage to accept a world of magic, a world of witches. That alone wouldn't change the fact that I was locked up in an academy, without a single friend in my class. But I was having such a fun and merry time regardless. I'll become a witch like Maria One-chan. And someday I'll add my family to this happy circle. Mom, Dad, and Oni-chan. If possible, George Oni-chan and Jessica One-chan too. And my other relatives. I'll call everyone here, without a single person missing, and we'll all be gathered together. Except maybe Ava.
それが私の夢。そうよ。私はそれを叶えるまで絶対にくじけない。
エンジ様はきっと大魔女になられます。あなたがそうだと信じるだけで、我ら煉獄の七姉妹はその日まで常に
いてくれる？いつまでも私の力になってくれる？
当然。だって私エンジ様の友達じゃないですか。
ええ、そうね。常に全員揃ってみんなで遊びましょう。今もこれからもずっとずっと。
エンジ様が夢を叶えられる日まで。
The lively 10-person game of Shiratori, cut off from time alongside the street, under the forever bright warmth of the sun, continued without end.
マジほんと。どういうわけ？後宮さん。
In the end, I wasn't able to make a very good grade on my test. I had thought I'd memorize things in my own way, but if you could manage anything by cramming all night like that, no one would worry about
あらか
tests.
じめ問題が分かってたら普通楽勝じゃない？楽勝。
さすがの私たちも空欄に答えまでは書き込みませんでしたわ。その程度はお勉強してくれると信じてましたから。
何これ？ちょっとマジこれ信じらんない。ほとんどダメじゃない。あんた本当にちゃんと予習したわけ？
一応。
一応ってレベルじゃありませんことよ、後宮さん。ここまでひどいと私めまいすらしそうですわよ。おお、神よ。こんな簡単なテストすら無残な成績を残し、クラス全体の平均点をガタ落ちさせる彼女を。
The same test had been given to another class first. They had managed to get a hold of that test paper, so the average score for this test was unusually high, enough to obscure my slight improvement. However, there were some things I couldn't make an excuse for. If I had spent that entire day studying like mad, I might have been able to get a slightly higher score. But I hadn't gone that far. After all, after that, on that day, I had spent the time having fun playing Shiritori with the seven sisters, Sakataro and One-chan. As expected, the winner had been Maria One-chan. She had been a strong player because of her various bits of random knowledge. Sakataro had gotten the penalty. He had spent the whole time cheering for everyone else's answers, and had completely forgotten to think of any himself. Because of that, he got dogpiled by the seven sisters and had his ears thoroughly nibbled, didn't he? I wish the seven sisters would dogpile me. What? They were surrounding me, twittering like small birds. Annoying, smelly. Smelly? On the outside of that circle was Mammon, a weary expression on her face.
相変わらずおかしな学校ね。自分の成績が良かったなら万々歳じゃないの？
連帯責任とやらのせいでしょ。彼女らにとって自分の成績がどうこうじゃなくて、クラスの平均点が低くて恥ずかしい方が問題なのよ。あるいはその結果、罰則として与えられる奉仕活動が嫌で嫌で仕方ないのかもしれない。
それってつまり成績を良くしたいから勉強してるとかじゃなくて、連帯責任や奉仕活動が嫌だから勉強してるって意味？
妬ましくて恥ずかしいのよ。誰かより劣りたくない。恥ずかしめられたくない。そんな気持ちだけが彼女らを勉強に駆り立ててる。
勉強がしたければ勝手にすればいいのに、騒がしいやつら。つまるところ、 連帯責任も奉仕活動もなければ彼女らは勉強などする気もないわけだ。勉強の意味も知らず勉強することのなんと愚かしいことか。
しかし本当にこいつらはうるさくてバカバカしい。エンジェ様の貴重な昼の一時を邪魔するなと言うのに。
こいつら嫌い。早くどっか行っちゃえ。お腹すいた。早く消えちゃえ。
ごめんね、みんな。人間ってのはどうしてここまで浅ましいのかしらね。
自分で努力するよりエンジェ様に努力させる方が楽で強欲に平均点を稼げるってことでしょ。人間なんてみんな強欲、そしてより楽なようにそれを強いる。こいつらとはやがて煉獄の山で再会するわ。第五感を抜けるときはせいぜい己が足元に注意することね。
Mammon controls the fifth terrace of the mountain that reaches to paradise, Mount Purgatory. Given that she herself was promising them this, we can probably be sure that after those girls die, their journey to heaven will not be an easy one. I've never heard of Mount Purgatory before.
Neither have I. It
Is
sounds
that
like
like a...
it sounds like something that's some witch's bullshit cooked up.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's anything real.
I don't think that's in Roman Catholicism at all.
It's not.
No, in fact, why don't they just go to hell?
Marvelous idea.
The class committee had applied to the student council to use a classroom during lunch and after school. The purpose of use was for a class study group, a wonderful little gathering so that they can all collect around me and make me study. I'm overjoyed. Which meant that every day I would have all of my lunch and 3 hours of my afternoon stolen away from me. The Academy and its student council, with its motto of student self-government, instantly approved of this pleasant activity that the students were taking up of their own initiative. In other words, I would no longer be able to escape after school by leaving the classroom. After school, the first class study group meeting started right away. Would they open a textbook, then kindly and carefully explain so that even I could understand it? Of course, it was nothing like that naive fantasy. After school in the classroom, around a dozen of my classmates crowded around my desk. First, before we started studying, why were my grades so bad? What was the reason? It was decided that we couldn't start until I could clearly answer those questions, become aware of the problem, and show remorse for my actions. Of course, there was no way I had an answer to a question like that. They had avoided me like the plague up until now, and they had rejected me and kept me at a distance so as not to include me in their communities. So I had been avoiding their communities myself. There shouldn't have been any conflict between us that way. So even when they formed this community intent on raising the class average, I obviously kept well away from it. Even if I had tried to join in, they would probably have ignored me just like they had always done in the past.
言ってくれれば私たちいくらでも教えてあげたよ。ねえ。ねえ。
Such enthusiasm. I'd had enough of their ex post facto pretenses of charity. Blech.
後宮さんの悪いところはね、協調性がないところなのよ。自分さえ良ければいいって思ってる、その考えがいけないのよ。
セールチーヤの学び屋に集う者は協調の心を持つように、ちゃんと生徒手帳にも明記されてましてよ。
協調性があればクラス全体に貢献するために一緒にお勉強しよう。そここそが後宮さんにお勉強以前に欠けている部分だと思うんだけど、どう思うかしら？
The hypocrisy is, palpable.
ねえ、さっきから私たちの話を聞いてる？あなたのために私たちはわざわざ放課後に残ってこうしてお話ししているのよ。
The tears of gratitude are pouring down. Of course, they didn't like that. This way, it almost makes it look like we're bullying you, they scolded me. Fortunately, I'm normally all cried out anyway. If I'm told not to cry, I can hold it back. First, I was to write a letter of remorse and read it out loud. Of course, they meant today. The class president politely applied to the student council in the staff room for an extension on the use of the classroom. Apparently, it was accepted right away, which meant that starting now, I would be forced into self-criticism here for at least full 5 hours. I, Ushiromiya Angie, caused trouble for my classmates by getting a low score on my test.
違うでしょ。成績が低くて迷惑をかけたってのは根本じゃないでしょ。
協調性でしょ、協調性。
もうなんで後宮さんの反省文の書き方まで私たちが指導しなくちゃならないのよ。
Their abusive jeers flew about one after another. I followed their guidance and put the eraser to it. I, Ushiromiya Angie, caused trouble for my classmates by not having a cooperative attitude.
ねえちょっと、私たちが言ったのをそのまま書いても意味ないのよ。
あんた反省って意味分かってんの？
自分の言葉で書かなくちゃ意味がないじゃない。自分の
後宮さんってちょっと不思議な子だなって思ってたけど。
Even following their guidance didn't change the jeers much. In fact, now it felt like they were mocking me more as well. In this way, over the following several hours, without rest, without being allowed to go to the bathroom, of course without being permitted to have dinner, and while being continuously insulted, I was coerced into writing a document which humiliated myself.
Do a reminder that this is the same visual novel where people get murdered.
Yep. And as it passed 9 at night, I was told to stand up and read it aloud. The contents were smeared black with tears and eraser marks. It certainly was my handwriting, but it was like a list of soulless letters whose contents I couldn't even remember. Everything had been copied down according to their guidance, so while I had been the one to write the letters, they weren't my words. I was being coerced into writing it down and even coerced into reading it aloud. I was surprised to find that even after all this time, in addition to ignoring someone and hiding their things, there were still other ways, like this, to bully people.
ほら早く読み上げなさいよ。
後宮さんのためにこれだけの人間がこんなに遅くまで付き合ってるのよ。少しは感謝したら？
そこで感謝の気持ちが湧かないという時点でもう協調性がかけらほどもないのよね。
大丈夫よ後宮さん。これからは私たちがいつも一緒にいてあげるから。一緒にお勉強して生まれ変わりましょう。ね。
Still surrounded by them, I stood from my seat and dropped my gaze towards the blackened page. And then, I began to speak those humiliating words. But right away, jeers flew at me saying that they couldn't hear and to speak up. I can't read this. I had no idea that being forced to read a paragraph humiliating me would be so painful. My throat shook. My fingertips shook. The paragraph of humiliation written in my own handwriting made my eyes burn with a hot liquid. So my world blurred and twisted. The girls surrounding me all appeared warped. I saw them warped into exactly the impression I had of them. In other words, this was the correct view. Beyond that twisted crowd of people, I could see my friends. Compassion could be seen in all of their eyes.
エンジェしっかりウリュ
Naria, One-chan, and Sakataro were looking at me with sad eyes. Perhaps because they realized that even cheap words of compassion would hurt me. They kept alternating between trying to say something and hanging their heads.
何なのよこいつら。最低のやつら。腹渡が煮えくり返るわよ。エンジ様を寄ってたかってなぶり者にして何が楽しいわけ。
I love this track, by the way.
痛ましくても吐き出せない怨嗟。
It's really good.
誰でもいいのよ。吐き出せればね。最低のやつら。 エンジェ様、ここはご自身の名誉のために怒り狂うことが許される場面です。怒りは正当な感情で正当な反応。ここで怒らなかったらどこで怒るんですか。
やめなさいよ。安っぽくエンジェ様を怒らせないで。それができたらもうやってるわよ、エンジェ様は。怒って状況が改善できるならそうすべきだ。だが客観的に判断してそれはますますに状況を悪化させるだけだろう。屈辱的だが今は耐えるのが賢明だ。
さすがベルフェネーはタイだ。
ふざけないでよ。私は耐えられない。こいつらが許せない。
みんな騒がないで。エンジェの負担になっちゃうよ。
I have a feeling there might be some blood spilled.
Boy.
何言ってんのよ。ここはさ、私たち家具は主が侮辱されているのを見て冷静でいられるほど残酷じゃない。
エンジェ様、そんな侮辱の文章を読む義務はありません。怒りの声を上げられないならせめてその屈辱の文面を床に叩きつけて。
口汚く罵らなくていい。のけぞらせるほどの大声を上げなくていい。ただ渾身の力でそのノートを床に叩きつけて。それだけのことでエンジェ様は強い意志を示すことができる。
勝手なことを言わないで。言ってるでしょ。それができるもんならエンジェ様だってとっくにやってる。一時の感情の爆発は何も解決しない。むしろエンジェ様に対する風当たりを悪くするだけだとなぜわからん。
エンジェ様は悪くないのになんでこんな目に遭うの。夕飯も食べさせてもらえないで放課後からずっとこんななんて嫌。
今夜だけじゃないわ。今日も明日も明後日もいい加減にしてこんな屈辱耐えられない。
ねえ、私たちの話本当に聞こえてる？
Someone tugged at my hair. I was pulled back into miserable reality. I was no longer even permitted to listen to the seven sisters expressing my inner thoughts on my behalf. My hair was lifted upwards. One of my hair ornaments came off and I heard it bounce and then roll to the ground. No one picked it up. To the contrary, they casually avoided it as though something filthy had come rolling towards them. I tried to follow it with my eyes, but my hair was tugged upwards again.
なんで私たちがこんなに真剣に話してるのにいつも聞いてないわけ？
右の耳から左の耳ってやつ。それとも馬の耳に念仏かしら。あんたいい加減にしてよね。
私たち全員に迷惑かけてるって自覚本気で私たちに言われてるからいやいや書いたとか言い出すんじゃないでしょうね。
あんたが本当に自分の意思で反省できるまでマジで終わんないからね。今日だけじゃないよ。明日も明後日もマジで続くからね。あんまり舐めてんじゃないわよ。
つーかさ、なんでまだ生きてんの？生きてられる？普通。私なら死んじゃうね。
生きてられないよね。だってさ、生きてるだけで迷惑かけてるだけでしょ。私だったら絶対に生きてられない。
うんうん、私だったら死ぬね。その方が世の中のためになるならすぐにでも死んじゃうよねえ。
じゃあ死んでよ。
エンジ様、
こいつら全員今すぐ殺してよ、あんたたち。
I thought so.
ルシファー、聞こえた？あんたたち煉獄の七姉妹は人間なんかあっという間に皆殺しにできるすごい核なんでしょ。あんたらいつも私にそう自慢していたわ。ならやって、今すぐこいつらを皆殺しにして、今すぐこの場で。
それは
For some reason, Lucifer's speech
な
faltered.
んで？どうしてよ。目にも止まらぬ速度で飛び回って魔女の敵の心臓を即座に貫く必殺の家具でしょ。そしてそれを主である私が命じてる。今すぐ実行しなさい。殺して、こいつらをみんな殺せ。エンジェ様、どうか落ち着いて。
If they had immediately followed my brutal order and left corpses strewn all around me, I would have been ready to rue my own reckless actions of stealing human lives so readily. I was ready to regret and feel remorse just as they had wanted me to. I was prepared to go through that, and yet Lucifer just let an unsure expression rise to her face and didn't move to carry out my order. I was aware. Of course I was. Vaguely. No, that's not it. I knew it from the very beginning. I knew, didn't I, that magic was all empty.
Whatが煉獄の七姉妹よ。くだらない。くだらない。私、最初から知ってたんだから。エンジェ様。
I glared into the worthless Lucifer's eyes, and it seemed that pain accompanied that stare. As though she had been struck by a horrendous headache, Lucifer clutched her head with both hands. But it looked like she couldn't tear her eyes off my glare, so the pain assaulting her grew more and more intense. Hopelessness and disappointment, resignation and a dream's end. A cracking sound, like you'd hear from a frozen lake surface during a fierce winter, rang out just once. Simultaneously, Lucifer's form, tormented by violent pain, stiffened in place and grew cloudy. It was almost as though a beautifully polished glass window had been heartlessly smashed and turned white from the countless cracks. And that was an accurate analogy. At some point, Lucifer's form had turned into a glass ornament of the same shape. Countless fissures ran through it from the inside, and the head and arms fell to pieces as it crumbled to the floor.
知女は誰？レビアタン？私の命令を実行して。今すぐにこいつらを皆殺し。いえ、そのヘンジ様、どうかお気を沈めてお聞きください。私たちはその。
I'm not looking for excuses or backtalk or a reply. I want nothing more than a swift confirmation of my order to eradicate the girls who are humiliating me. If you're going to say anything else, there's no need for me to listen until the end. After Leviathan turned white from the vast number of cracks throughout her whole body, frozen in a bent backwards pose, she toppled over, and her fragile neck, hips, and arms broke into separate parts. It would have been less brutal if they had just smashed to smithereens instead of retaining their original form. So the fact that I had left the two of them partially intact made the remaining younger sisters shake even harder.
どうして私の命令を聞いてくれないの？どうしてよ！
恐れながら、現在のこの場は反魔法力が非常に強く。
何よそれ？人間がいるからダメってどういう理屈？人間を殺すのがあんたたちの役目でしょ？それができないならあんたたちは何のための家具なのよ！死ね！お許しください！エンジェ様！
Low-key, this is how school shooters are formed.
What did you say?
I said low-key, this is how school shooters are born.
Honestly, yeah. Pretty much. As she clutched her head with both arms, Satan also turned white and fell down face first. The neck really did seem to be the most fragile part. Her head broke off weightily and rolled over to Belphegor's feet.
Like, she literally felt so angry that she wanted to kill all of her classmates.
Not just one person, but all of them.
She literally wanted to murder them all.
Regardless of any consequences she would face afterwards. You know? That's... crazy.
じゃあ私が後でこいつらを一人ずつ物陰に呼び出せたなら、あんたたちはきっちり全員を血祭りにできるというの？
現在のエンジェ様の魔力では私たちと会話する程度はたやすいでしょう。しかしこの場にいる全ての人間の前で権限するにはまだまだ魔力の連成が足りません。お怒りは深く理解できますが、たとえ我らを攻撃に使えたとしてもこの場の全員を殺害することはかえって状況を悪くするだけです。屈辱的とは思いますが、どうかこの場は怒りを収められて。
That's not what she wants to hear.
あとの3人も同じ答えなの？反魔法力が高いからできないっていう？私に魔力が足りないからできないっていう？なら全員を殺せとは言わないわ。たった一人でいいから殺してみなさいよ。今すぐこの場で。
As Asmodeus and Beelzebub held each other, they crouched down, cringing in fear under my glare. If they had been able to obey my order, they would probably have carried it out immediately. And yet, here they were crouching down. Empty. Sad. And pathetic. That's right, I knew it. These girls can't touch reality with even a single one of their fingers.
やだ、エルゼ怖いよ。エルゼ、エンジ様、許してください。許してください。死にたくない。
死になさいよ、使えない家具。どうして生きてるの？あんたたち生きてる価値がないのになんで生きてるわけ？死ねばいいじゃん。死になさいよ。というかむしろ死ね。使い道のない家具を置いとくバカがいると思う？
やめてください、エンジ様。
何？マモン、あなただけは私の命令を遂行してくれるの？そうよね。私の一番のお友達だもんね。あなただけはやってくれるわよね。こいつらを。
今のエンジ様には私たちを刺激しても人殺しはできません。主にできることを手伝うのが家具の役目。主にすらできないことを私たちにはすることができない。エンジ様はこいつらが憎いですから。憎いですよね。殺したくなる気持ちよくわかります。ええ、どうぞ。ならば殺しましょうよ、エンジ様。エンジ様自らがその手を血に染めるならば、我ら煉獄の七姉妹どこまでもお供しましょうとも。どこまでも。
私にできないからあんたたちに頼んでるんでしょ？私にできないことをできるからあんたたちは家具なんでしょ？
ええ、家具です。使われてこそ家具です。どうぞ我らを使って殺してください。殺すのはあなたです、エンジ様。エンジ様が殺したいと言うならどうぞご自由に。ためらうことはありません。どうぞ今すぐにそれを実行。そこまでの覚悟が伴って初めて、自らの手を汚す覚悟があって初めて。でもエンジ様はそれに至っていないんです。
This is solid confirmation that all of the murders taking place in this game were murdered by humans.
Oh, you're right.
This is solid confirmation. If you
Because
are
they
prepared,
can't do anything unless
if you are prepared to kill by your own hands,
then
then
we'll
you
follow
can use
you.
this.
Yeah. That's a really good, nice catch. I wasn't even thinking about that.
語るな家具が。妄想がもう分かってるわよ。皆まで言わせないでよ。あんたたちには何もできない。あんたたちは所詮私の妄想、幻想、悪チーム。私には初めから友達なんて一人もいない。孤独な私が心の中に生み出したお友達ごっこの幻影でしょ。知ってたのよ、最初っから。
そうですよ。エンジェ様の頭の中の幻想ですけど何か？はい、そうです。私たちは友達のただ一人もいやしない。寂しい寂しいエンジェ様の心を慰めるためだけに生み出されたお友達ごっこの脳内妄想ですが何か？見たければ現実を見るといい。私たちなんか見ないで、あそこで囲まれて罵声を浴びせられているあなたに戻るといい。ほらほら戻りなさいよ。お帰りなさいな現実に。都合のいい時だけ私たちを呼び出してお友達ごっこで、自分の手を汚す覚悟もないくせにそれをけしかけ、ダメと分かったら否定して消し去る。ええ、どうぞお楽しみくださいよ。エンジェ様がたった今浴びせられている罵声を。
That's what I was thinking. She was basically saying the same thing to them that they were saying to her.
Well,
私たちにも同じように浴びせかけて胸の内をスーッとさせるがいいです。
Also, this whole scene is very I feel like is very relevant to connect to trying to figure out who is the actual, like who's the culprit on the islands, who killed everybody, because it has to be somebody who is kind of in a similar mindset or has reason to want to kill everybody for some reason. And
Do you think the bullying thing also carries over to whoever it is on the island?
It has to be someone maybe bullying, but it has to be someone that's imagined themselves as a witch with these 7 sisters. So, out of all the people, like, we narrowed it down last time, saying that it's probably because of how the letters were sent out, the letters that were found that were supposedly sent out before the incident of the crime. If we were able to narrow it down, saying that the people that hadn't gone to the island yet, it couldn't have been them. But then the people that were on the island, how many of them realistically would be imagining themselves as a witch and would have need to imagine all of these 7 sisters of purgatory?
And would feel the need to... would feel so oppressed or abused that they would feel the need to murder all those people who may or may not be their family.
Just some things to think about.
Yeah. My first thought was Rosa, but it can't be. In terms of like carrying over the kind of like bullying motif, I felt like Rosa has been pushed around a lot by her siblings.
That's a really good I don't, what would you call it? A theory, a really good theory.
Yeah.
That it could be Rosa, but I mean,
she wasn't
on the island.
Yeah.
But then again, we're not like 100% sure that the letters were sent before. Although it led us, I think it led us to believe that the letters were sent off before the rest of the people got to the island.
Yes.
So I don't really think it could have been Rosa in that case. But if it weren't for that fact, I'd say yeah, definitely Rosa's a knight to keep out for, to keep your eye out on.
Yeah.
それもまた家具の役目。ムカついて床に叩きつけられることもまた椅子の大事なお役目ですから。その程度のことで主の不機嫌を一時でも受け止められたなら、家具としてこれほどの栄誉はありません。殺しなさいよ。否定しなさいよ。あなたの最初で最後の友達を。
At the end, Mammon had a derisive expression on her face. But for some reason it looked like teardrops had scattered from her eyes. Mammon, Beelzebub, and Asmodeus smashed to pieces and rolled across the floor.
こっちへおいで作太郎。今のエンジェは少し冷静じゃないだけ。
Little agitated.
だから近寄っちゃダメだよ。みんなは、七姉妹のみんなは生きてるの？死んじゃったの？大丈夫だよ。とても無残な姿だけど、あれは人間界を強制退去させられて残されたより抜け殻だよ。だから大丈夫。とても傷ついただろうけど無事だよ。みんな生きてるよ。きっといつかまた会えるよ。ウリュ、よかった。よかった。エンジェはマリアージュ・ソルシエールの条約に違反した。同盟の魔女はお互いを敬い認め合わなくちゃならないのに、みんなエンジェの大切なお友。
そんな魔女の同盟なんて関係ない。魔法のお友達？いい加減にして。私が殺したわ。消し去った。私が七姉妹を砕け散らせた。
ウリュ、そんなのひどいよ。ひどいよ。
もう魔女ごっこはいい加減にして。お願いだから。マリアお姉ちゃんも作太郎も自ら消えてほしい。私が殺して消したなんて妄想の中ですらしたくないから。
僕たちは妄想なんかじゃないよ。エンジェのお友達だよ。ウリュ。
Sakataro sobbed those words as he hid behind Maria Onechan. Sakataro doesn't exist. Sakataro is also a delusion Onechan created to distract herself from her loneliness.
ウリュ、痛い。痛いよ。マリア。なんで、ウリュ。やめて。私のお友達を否定することだけは、
The same power that had smashed the Seven Sisters was probably eating into Sakataro as well. But Maria Onechan was apparently protecting him with some other power. So Sakataro's form didn't break or scatter. Onechan glared at me sharply, a serious expression that she had never shown me before.
サク太郎は私の家具。エンジェには消せないよ。なのに、否定しようとするのは魔女にとって最大級の侮蔑も同じだよ。
作太郎なんて最初から存在しないわ。ただのライオンのぬいぐるみ。それをお姉ちゃんがあたかも存在するかのように脳内で妄想して人格化したただの幻なのよ。
そんなことないよ。サク太郎はマリアのお友達なの。元はぬいぐるみだけど今はぬいぐるみじゃないの。
いいえ、ぬいぐるみだわ。布と綿でできたぬいぐるみ。自ら喋れも動きもしない。お姉ちゃんはそれを腹話術みたいにして喋ってるだけじゃない。それが魔法？それが魔女？それが友達？そんなの私は認めないわ。
ウリュ、僕じゃないの。僕はただのぬいぐるみで本当は喋れなくてマリアのお友達じゃないの。
As though plagued by a high fever, Sakataro weakened bit by bit. As he clung to Onechan's body, he did all he could to continue standing, but his body began to slip down bit by bit. As he did, Onechan held him and screamed at me as tears streamed down her face.
やめて！魔法の毒でサク太郎を焼かないで！いじめないで！侮辱しないで！否定しないで！マリアお姉ちゃん変なの。サク太郎なんかいないよ。ぬいぐるみはぬいぐるみだもん。布と綿でできてるってママに習ったもん。歩いたり喋ったりなんかできるわけないよ。ウリュ、サク太郎、サ 鬼太郎、ぬいぐるみじゃないもん、ぬいぐるみじゃないもん、友達だもん。ぬいぐるみ遊びなんかよりみんなでお外で遊ぶ方がいい。ぬいぐるみもう飽きた。返事なんかもう知らない。なんでそんなこと言うの。嫌い嫌い嫌い嫌い大嫌い。絶好だ絶好。もう魔女の仲間になんか入れてあげない。原初の魔女見習いマリアの名において魔女見習いエンジェをマリアージュ・ソルシエール魔女同盟より。
And then, those tranquil days of mine, now merely a waking dream, came to an end. At this point, it's unverifiable. No one can verify whether that really was magic, and those really were my friends, or else whether it was all nothing more than a daydream. I, the sole observer, concluded that those girls were a figment of my imagination. So that became the truth. Perhaps, further in the future, I will observe it again, and when that happens, maybe I will acknowledge that it wasn't a dream, that the seven sisters really were my friends, and that along with Maria One-chan and Sakataro, they did everything they could for me in my isolation. Something so vague is neither the truth nor even an illusion. Maybe the reality that's here and now is the only real world with the real me. Where is the real me? The person standing among the girls' shameful remains resembling broken glass sculptures, breathing harshly and shoulders heaving. That is not me. The place I am is over there. The one boxed in by a crowd, the one being subjected to constant verbal abuse, the one hanging her head with clearly red eyes. The me over there, isn't that the real me? I won't dream anymore. Because there's nowhere for me to run. I'll go back. I'll return myself to the cage made of flesh.
ねえ、話聞こえてますかしら？いつまでもうつむいていても何の解決にもなりませんわよ。
聞こえてるわ。
ああ、やっと返事した。このまま黙ってれば終わるとか、泣けば許してもらえるとか、そういうこと考えてるんじゃないの？あんた、自覚あるかって聞いてるのよ。自分が周りに迷惑かけてるって自覚があるのかって聞いてんのよ。
I slowly nodded. I admitted it. I admitted that I had been spending my time in a waking dreamland, trying to remain separate from the others in my class. Those friends who had spoken to me with such kind and hopeful words, yet who couldn't offer me any help at all now in the moment I truly wanted it. To move on from them and to sully them, I admitted it.
私、後ろ宮エンジェは協調性がなくてクラスメートに迷惑をかけました。それは勉強ができないためクラスメート全体に対し過度の劣等感を持っていたからに他なりません。私は生きてても仕方ありません。
Starting there, I was no longer reading the paragraph they had made me write. It was my improvisation, and what was in my heart. They also noticed that it wasn't what they had anticipated, but while they did frown, no one spoke. So I continued.
そうです。私は生きてても仕方がなかった。1986年のあの日に私も連れて行ってもらうはずだったんです。なのに私だけが連れて行ってもらえなかった。どうして私はここにいるのでしょう。ここは私のいる世界じゃない。誰も助けてくれません。一時 私の中に生まれた架空の友人たちだけが。でも友人たちは所詮は妄想で。だってここは妄想の世界じゃなくて現実だから。つまり私は今日までずっと現実のクラスメートを嫌い、妄想の友人たちとの交流の中だけに生きた。その友人たちとはさっき決別しました。だから私がここにいます。家族もいません。友人も捨てました。もう私には何も残っていません。どうして死なないの？さっきそう聞いた人がいました。その通りだと思います。どうして私は生きてるんでしょう。1986年に私は死んでいるはずだったんです。いえ、きっと死んだんです。なのに私の殺された魂は未だにこの肉の檻に閉じ込められている。だから誰かに求めよう。それに誰も答えてくれないなら自分でしよう。誰か私を死なせてください。
I spoke that sentence and looked around. Dumbfounded girls. Shocked girls. Girls who looked like they didn't know what this kid was saying. And after a small delay, more and more girls with faces that said, "Is this kid alright?" No, she's not fucking alright. Are you kidding me? How can someone be that? How can people... Whisper, whisper. Mutter, mutter. And then, giggle, giggle. When I ordered my friends in my daydream to kill, they couldn't do it. And so, I asked real humans to kill. But of course, these girls can't do it either. In other words, both daydreams and reality are the same. Doesn't that mean that everything, absolutely everything, this world included, is all a daydream? Then, what's the problem? After all, on that day when I lost my entire family, I already died. All the days since have been the delusions of a wrongful survivor, delusions of a life flashing before my eyes. Once I understood that, it felt like all the scenery surrounding me began to twist and bend slightly. Ah, I'm finally going to wake up. I'm going to be released from this world of waking dreams. I felt my consciousness sliding away. That's alright. Fade further and further away, and take me to my family. Therefore, no matter what unfolded in this twisted, fated world, I paid it no mind at all. I saw the crowd get pushed aside as a teacher stepped in. Perhaps a teacher doing the rounds happened to notice a strange disturbance. The teacher was vigorously shouting something, moving to protect me. Upon seeing that, and learning that an ally had appeared for me, even if only one, I felt my awareness return very slightly. Ellipses. The only ones who can save me in the real world are real humans. Never again. Never again will I seek salvation from daydreams. This is the human world. The only ones who can save a human are other humans.
そうだね。エンジがそう思ったなら、それがエンジの世界。エンジはこれで幸せになれる？エンジがそれでしか幸せになれないと信じたなら、もうカゴの中にいる青い鳥をそうだと認められないなら、どこまでも探しに行かざるを得ない。ウリュウ、マリアとエンジはもう絶好なの？絶好なんかじゃないよ。エンジがそれを求めたからそうしただけ。私たち魔女は
時に迫害を受けるけれども、でも常にみんなの身近にある。そしてきっとその助けを求められる。
エンジェもまた僕たちと遊んでくれる日が来る？
来ないでそのまま忘れてしまうこともあるかもしれない。人の世ではそれを成長や決別と呼ぶから。でも
If Angie just remembers, we will always be by her side. And until then, we will be waiting.
Thanks for watching. This has been Depression with John and Matt.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we did this chapter by itself.
Yeah, I think so too.
I need a break after that.
I need to, like, go for a walk or something. Wow. Man. Oh, that's a lot. I mean, we've seen murders and horrific things, but that just, like, I don't know, that's just very, maybe it's because it's not so out of the realm of possibility, you know. I mean, the witches are, but the bullying and the depression, you know, hits closer to home than fantastical murders, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, put it this way. Depression isn't quite over just yet.
Oh boy.
Yep. There's more depression to come. I'm sorry.
That's alright. We'll take it in stride.
Next time on Umineko, maybe there won't be as much depression, hopefully.
Hopefully a little less.
Thank you for watching.
Take care, guys.